Hello, welcome to our first English expansive interview. This is a series of interviews that I want to make to interview people that sees the world as such a different place than maybe I can feel it as. And I find it so interesting that all these other people in the world have these special experiences and experience energies in such a different way than I do, and I'm very curious about all these things. That's why I'm having this series of interviews. Today we're going to have with us Sunneva Birgirsdóttir, which is an Icelandic girl that is a KAP facilitator. KAP is Kundalini Activation Process. We have it here already. Hi, Sunneva. I'm going to introduce you, and then I'm gonna invite you already. Let's see. And I'm going to introduce you at the same way, at the same time. Let's see, how did I do that last time? Oh my gosh. Plus Sunneva invitation. We're having some people also joining us already. Great. Sunneva!
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Hi. I see you a little, not blurry, but like you were in heaven or in a cloud, something like that.
Yes, weird
Which is very,
camera thing going on.
fits perfectly.
Yes, I think we can get it better
But
than
it's
that.
great.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Okay.
okay.
That's great. That's great. We hear you well as well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
I appreciate very much that you said yes. And thank you. I was just introducing you. I was saying you're an Icelandic girl who is a KAP facilitator. KAP is Kundalini Activation Process. I met you here in Iceland in July when I went to one of those KAP sessions for the first time.
Yes, last year.
And I thought it was amazing. And that's why I wanted to invite you here. But then, of course, you surprised me as well because you have so many other like extra sensorial experiences. You can see people, you have experienced telepathy, you can know exactly how a person is feeling in the same moment as you see that person. And many other special experiences. So yeah, probably the talk will be mainly about KAP. But first I wanted to ask you, why do you describe yourself in your bio on Instagram, first of all, as a white soul fire? What do you mean by that?
Why white soul fire? There was actually a friend of mine who I was asking him like what kind of name is like allowed. No, I can't remember exactly why it came to me, but he told me that I was like this white soul fire, and it stuck to me. So I'm like, just this pure white soul fire, I guess.
So you just liked it and you took it as your name, as your description.
Yeah, it's just some kind of description of me, I guess, in total. There's like no labels in it. It's a beautiful words of, there's like no story behind it really. It stuck to me. Yeah.
I could interpret it like fire, like passion, like amazed maybe about life, but also with a very pure and white spirit, which is, like an innocent child full of passion and enjoyment for life.
Yeah, like I'm an Aries, so I'm like this fire and I'm full of passion and full of like, I have to be there and do that right now, and that kind of fire and a lot of, just this white, but with pure heart, of course, but maybe the white thing, white fire.
Right. Love it. I'm an Aries as well, so I understand this kind of fire and passion that you're talking about.
Yes. Good.
Okay. Then if we go to talk about KAP right now, how could you explain what is KAP to people, and what is this Kundalini energy that, of course, is related to this KAP experience?
Yes. KAP is a energy transmission which happens through surrendering, and it's because, and you will have to be aware that you're more than this body, because behind all the layers of like thoughts and behaviors and feelings, you're not it. You're much more than that, and KAP like rips everything off you that you are not, and you're left with yourself, the pure vessel that you are. And what happens in the session is just pure magic to me. It's such a beautiful to witness and experience and be a part of their journey, to see like why people come again and again to the sessions, and to be able to see their process in this journey. From like being, for example, just so anxious or depressed, and some have come to us with burnouts and had to quit working, but now they are, I have one particular person in mind that she has come to us like 80 times or something, believe it or not, but she had a mission to just work on herself, and it was such a hard journey for her, but that makes it so personal, because the process doesn't stop in the sessions, and to be there and support her, like hold the space for her through that awakening journey is wow. Just my heart expands so deeply when I even talk about it, and wow.
Yeah. And how would you describe the Kundalini energy for somebody that never has heard about that? What is that?
Kundalini energy is like if you see Kundalini yoga, that's what people can relate to. That's like you do the practices to activate the Kundalini within you. And Kundalini is like a snake that is in the root chakra. And when you activate it, it spirals up the spine, like 3.5. Yeah, it spirals up the spine and up to the crown and circulates up and down freely. And in that process, there's, I like to think it like an earthquake, because you're like shaking everything that doesn't serve you, and you like explode when the volcano erupts. And then the earth like neutralizes itself and gets this peace again. But with KAP, it's maybe different from Kundalini yoga, because this is a path of surrendering, and then the energy goes down through the crown and down the spine and activates the root chakra, and it goes up and down into the arms and to your field and to your energetic vibration and energetic bodies. I hope that I hope people understand what I'm saying. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you describe the energetic bodies then?
How do I describe energetic bodies?
Yeah.
There's like this physical body, and there is this light body that is like 3 centimeters from our bodies, and energetic, there's like multiple energetic bodies, and the more that you expand your field, then, for example, you said earlier that I can sense other people's feelings, and that is actually when I expand my field, knowing that I am not this body. I can feel the other person, and because they have also the bodies, and they merge those energy together, for example. And to explain it further in a like human language, when you walk into a room and some people have been arguing, for example, you can feel that. You can feel it as soon as you walk in the room. But that is not like this physical body that Yes, she's angry. It's like this energetic vibe from that anger. And
And one thing that you said before, you said that when you shake in KAP, because I was, you know, my experience, for example, I'm both very like mental. I want to know the why of everything, but I want to experience everything first as well to know what to think about that. And I'm open to everything. That's why I went there and said, wow, can this happen to me? I mean, and yes, I was there laying, and suddenly my body just began shaking and moving, and I couldn't believe it. And the amazing thing is that I was not scared. I was just there like an observer. Yes, and I was amazed how my body just moved alone. I couldn't believe it. And it's amazing. But you said before that when you shake, if I understood it correctly, are you supposed to be letting go what it doesn't serve you? Yes, yes, that's correct. There's like no like research behind all the shaking. It just happens when you surrender to the godly energy that you already are. There's nothing, this is your own energy that does that. And when you like give permission for that to happen, then it can happen, of course. Yes. I've never heard before this. I've been watching a few videos about it, and I think I've never heard this word surrendering. And I loved it when you said it. It's like you surrender to the experience. Probably is what I did is just, I'm here, do whatever you want, let it happen, and that was is great. And maybe that's why we need these experiences, because in the normal life, in the day-to-day life, we repress ourselves so much, isn't it? Yes. And maybe, yes, people actually learn to surrender in the sessions and can take it outside of the sessions as well, because there's a lot that can happen that you don't have control over, and you have to surrender and surrender again and again, and be mindful of that. Right. Because you never know. And how what's going to happen? Exactly. Yeah, well, it was amazing. I guess that's why you also have music very loud in the sessions, because there were people screaming and laughing and crying, and everything can get out there. Yes. Would you do that if there were like this typical calm music playing around? I don't think so. I would not like release all those emotions myself if there wasn't for the loud music and this upbeat music. It gives them like more space to like fully surrender and fully just scream their lungs out if they need to, if that's what needs to come up. Yes. Right. Otherwise, probably we would be thinking about, oh, the other person is going to hear me, so I better repress myself. Yes, exactly. And then that's not the word we're supposed to. Yes. Right. And that is what I say. But what I thought was amazing. That's what I say in the sessions, like before. Is this a safe place to like allow everything to happen? And if somebody is yelling and screaming and crying, you don't have to like, oh, I should do that as well. Like, no, that's their journey. It's a personal journey, and everybody is there for a reason together in this room. If there are 5 people, 10, 50, 20 people, it's it's just exactly. What I didn't understand, tell me, like, there's some people that begin doing yoga positions and dancing around. Of course, I didn't see them because I'm supposed to be with my eyes closed. But somebody that I went with told me about that, about the yoga positions. And some other people then explained that they were walking through the room or something, or dancing. And I'm wondering, since I didn't feel that, I just moved my upper part, for example. I cannot understand, but tell me, if the difference, if that energy really is what makes you dance and do the yoga positions, or is just that you just go along with the music and let yourself go, and then you yourself decide to let you go? Or is it the energy that brings you to stand and to dance and to do all those other things?
Well, I can speak for myself. I have experienced both when the energy just lifts me up, but I also okay, I want to dance. I feel like if I sit up and stand up, I can feel that the energy will move freely if I do that, because there's some energy stuck in my root, for example. I need to move my hips. Then I just do that and allow myself to do that. And then it actually is more like expression that happens. Still you because you are this body and the body has needs, and you have to listen to that always in the session and outside of the session. So if you want to dance, this is a perfect place for that. You don't have to lie there just the whole session. If your back hurts or something, you can always move or do anything. And if you listen to the body, then that lifts the vibration more. Yeah.
Right. It was very amazing because after the session, all of us, the ones who wanted, explained what we felt. And there was a girl that said, I think she had pain in one hand before the session, and then through the session, the pain went to the other arm.
Oh, right. Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there are, what other stories have you heard that are amazing? That are not, it's like it's impossible to believe, but it's true because you have experienced them yourself and then see them in others as well.
Yeah, I think I've seen it all. I've seen people ripping off their ego, just so much like you see in the movies when they're what is the word? Just they're ripping their hearts out or something. They're so much passionate expressions in them, and when they just fully immerse to them, I think I've seen it all. People, this typical stand up, or even the smallest things with just with fingers moving, or and so much deep sorrow and so much yelling from the depth of their bellies, just roaring. And I think I've seen it all, so nothing surprises me anymore, and if it does, it's just another experience of mine, and it's beautiful.
Wow. How long have you been being a KAP facilitator?
I've been a KAP facilitator since 2019, but I've done this work for almost 3 years with assisting my friend in this prayer. And when it first came in Iceland, when Venant, my master, came, I met him through this friend of mine. So when he came in 2018, that's when the journey began. And shortly, it's actually a quite funny story how it all started, because I was just lying like you in the sessions, and she actually Sunneva, can you help me? Can you help me with this session? I was like, yeah, sure. I stood up from the middle of the session, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? What is happening? And just from there was no turning back, and I was assisting her from that day forward. Yeah.
Great. And how did you first go into KAP? What was the first time you heard about it, and what did it bring you, attracted you to that?
Okay. So I was working with this woman that introduced me to Venant. Her name is Thora, and we were working at a nursing home. And she was telling us about this master from Bali. She met him there. And she was like, I have to show you some video of this woman. And I was like, okay, sure. And she just took out her phone and showed us this woman shaking in the video. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. And maybe I'm weird, but I was like, there was something, it spoke to me. It was like so graceful, so peaceful. There was so much like love and light from that woman. And she was just lying in her bed shaking and doing all those movements that I've seen in the sessions. And there was like no doubt when I saw that. I had to experience that. And I got so excited when I knew Venant was coming to Iceland. And just being in his field before the sessions, it was like there was so strong and thick love and light energy from him. It was like working on a wall, really. I could feel his presence so deeply, and I was like already starting to have experiences before the demo or before the session started. Just hearing him speaking, I can even hear him speaking on some podcast today or on a video, and I like start shaking up. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And let's explain to people. I think this guy Venant is the only master, the only person that can teach KAP, isn't he?
Yes, that is, yeah, for yoga. But he has like multiple teachers.
And do you know
himself? He has like multiple teachers himself. He has like all this knowledge from other people and combined it into this one KAP, really.
Since when is the KAP existing? When did he begin doing this? Do you know?
I'm not sure. 7 years, no longer.
Only, it's very recent.
Yes, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it is 6-7 years.
I never heard about it till my stepdaughter told me.
Yeah.
And that was in Iceland. I've never heard it in Spain. Of course, Kundalini yoga, yes, but the activation process, never. And today when I was seeing a couple of videos, I saw that there's a very famous like sports and also broker guy, Joseph Akram, which is, I'm telling you because many Spanish people maybe will see the interview afterwards. Okay. And he's into this. He said it was his wife that began with the experience, but told him, hey, you have to try it. And he's a very mental guy. He said, okay, if it's something that I'm going to experience physically, because he's nothing spiritual at all, then I'm going to try it. And then he was amazed. And he says it's like it helps you to become a better person. And probably you get that way you get a better relationship with the world as well, with everybody else.
Yes, for sure, because you can see just people behind all the layers. You can look at people and they're having this deep anger or like are arguing with you or screaming with you or are irritated or something or saying some bad stuff about you or just speaking something that lies deep inside their hearts, like so much frustration, for example. And you just can see through that. And that may actually trigger people many people. But that's what happened in KAP. Not only for me, just I guess for you as well. You can like see through all these layers. You can see who this person truly is.
That's great. I'm going to read you a couple of things that I heard this morning when I was watching these couple of videos. And they were all so wonderful. They were saying, it's like empowering you from your divine essence, because it's like getting in touch completely with your essence, with who you really are. And it's like taking a conscious leap, and you change the way you feel towards you and towards the world. It detoxes you. It makes you face your subconscious. And it makes you look at places that you don't want to look. Maybe you wouldn't look at them on the day-to-day life, but there maybe you are confronted to them. And maybe you accept them then. You surrender to them. That's the point, I guess. And there are emotional catharsis. It was very good to hear from Venant, the master himself, that that he said it can be an emotional release, a very powerful emotional release, but there's no attachment. So it's like you get that release, but you don't feel like I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you don't feel for example, he was saying, once I screamed, I like old, like a mother that has had her child murdered.
Yeah.
And it was such a primal scream and such a profound and painful scream, but he didn't feel the emotion of it. So it was like great, like releasing all that. Maybe it came from another life.
Exactly, yes, that can happen, yeah.
Yeah. And then he just felt, oh, okay, well, that was a good scream. Great, perfect.
Yes, because there's not necessarily emotions behind all this screaming. It doesn't have to be like, oh, my relative died and that's why I'm crying. Sometimes there's like no story. That may be from past lives, or you thought you had dealt with something and then that comes back up again and you're like, why did that happen? Why am I going through this thing again? Why am I experiencing that emotion? I don't feel like attachment to that scenario right now. But there is something like just layers of like this subtle energy that was sitting in your body, and you're like, okay, there's some more stuff from that experience that I have to release. And yeah.
Amazing. And can you tell us, would you like to tell us how KAP has helped you? What ways?
Yes. So before KAP, I was having daily panic attacks, for example. I was afraid to say no and to put limits, and I was this like big-hearted girl that was giving and giving and giving before myself. I was like all out there, but I didn't love myself. I didn't like take care of me first. I was like, so I wanted everybody else to feel good. And I had a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, and I didn't feel like I was worthy at all. And I was always stuck in my mind. I had all these dreams, and I was with this, I've always thought like, if I do that, then that will happen. But after KAP, I had the courage to just do what I always thought of doing. And I had a deeper connection to my body. I became this human being instead of human doing. I was like more in my body. I can like manifest much faster, for example, with feeling like it is already happening. And I, for example, just a personal example, the courage to do something that I only had thought of. I divorced my husband, for example, but that was always on my mind, but it was like pushed me to do that. I'm not saying that everybody should like divorce their husband, but that's what's been on my mind for like a long time, but never did it.
Right. So it gave you a lot of personal power. You just connected with your self-worth completely.
Yes, exactly. I was like, for the first time, I can actually feel my body, like all my body at the same time. I'm like not focused on one part at a time. It's hard to explain, just embodying everything that I am and everything that I am experiencing and everything what I'm feeling. I can, it's just in my body. If it's in the past or the future or now, it's all happening right now. Yeah.
Amazing. And you were talking before about, we were talking before about past lives. I think you have some experiences that you maybe could share about with us about, because you have experienced past lives. Are you quite sure that you've experienced past lives?
Yes, I can give you an example. When I could experience like the death of my past life. I was lying in this field and there was like arrows like coming at me and I could see like blood everywhere and it was so like real to me. I could feel the pain and I could feel the fear, and I could feel like when I fully surrendered to the idea that I was dying. And my friend was with me when that happened. Like my physical friend, like in this lifetime, was there when I was experiencing that.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, what is happening? And he was just there and like holding me, and I was like doing all this like crazy like sounds. And he said to me afterwards, I was doing this crazy sounds and like this heavy breathing, and stopped breathing for a couple of seconds or a minute or something, and just like I was dead in this body as well. And he was like holding me like, Sunneva, Sunneva, are you okay? Like, come back, come back. And I was like, okay, that was so deep experience. That is one example. Yeah.
When did it happen? Were you sleeping or?
No, it just happened really. It was, we were in a summer house and we were meditating, and yeah, and I can go very deep when I'm intentionally do that. And we're experiencing with different energy and see if we could connect through. We were actually seeing if we could see ourselves in this past life, because me and my friend, we have the connection from our past lives. And yeah, we were like discovering that and see what it really was and what was happening then. And then I experienced that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And how did you feel after that, when you, let's say, returned to the complete consciousness of the moment, of the present?
I was like a little bit shocked at the beginning, and I was like, what was that? It was so real. But I also could feel like this woman was in my body somehow. Like I could feel like I was not Sunneva, but like multiple different, or she was like there with me. It's hard to explain really, but I'm trying. It is like, like you're not only Sunneva, but you're all your past lives as well. And when you allow your past lives to be there with you, you'll feel the support, because they were not supposed to die there, but they can live in me, you know? And there is something from them that they wanted to do, and I'm giving them permission to do that through me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard a version like that, like that experiencing other lives to you is like maybe allowing those past lives to finish maybe something.
Yes, yes. It can be, it can be extreme sometimes when you experience all of them. Like I can feel them like in a row, like behind me or something, just waiting to come and giving them permission for that.
Do you feel many of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How can I ask how many?
I'm not sure how many, but it's like a feeling of mine that, no, and not many. I can't count them, no.
And do you feel comfortable allowing them to do what they need to do for you? It's like you are like a channel, and then it's like your mission in a way. Is like,
yes, because I feel like they were doing something good for this community, good for the world, and they couldn't do their mission, you know. They were like sharing like the new world. They were like like the witches in the past, like they were all killed or burned or something because they were like doing all this magic or this natural, or what's the word? Doing this natural approaches with like medicines and plants and all that, and were burned for it, and being healers, and it wasn't allowed. It was like this big taboo, and they were burned. So they were doing this beautiful work and had to suffer for it. So here we are, and I'm not the only one. There are like multiple people in the world who have the same experience with the past lives. They just want to like make this world a better place, really. And now we can do that. We are not burned or we are not killed for it.
Right. Now we have the freedom.
Now we have the freedom, yes.
And why do you think some people can experience that very clearly and some others don't? Is it maybe because the others are not that open, that connected with themselves to feel that, or what do you think?
I think we are all open for it, but it's like opening up a window. How much do we want to open up the window and see the possibilities? And some people don't want to see that and don't believe in that, and that's so good as well, because we need those people as well in this world. And everybody is like whole, either they're spiritual or not. It's all important. Yeah.
And when you say, I'm going to ask you about the people you see, but I wanted to explain that I was very surprised when I came to Iceland first. It's like a lot of people in Iceland say, besides that they believe in elves, but this is something else maybe, that they see ghosts or spirits or people, however you want to call it. And I've been told as well that maybe it's because here is such a pure energy still, not that much contamination, and nature is so alive that probably people is more, I don't know how to say, maybe more natural or more connected to nature, and maybe that's why they have these possibilities to, or they are more sensitive to see these spirits in other worlds. And I asked, well, tell me, how. Well, I'm gonna tell you. I asked somebody first that told me that he saw ghosts, and I said, and how do they look like? And he said, well, like normal people. And I said, then how do you know they are ghosts? And he said, well, you can see that in the eyes. I don't know, he didn't explain anything else, but how are the people that you see, for example? And what do you think they are doing around us?
Okay, I can give you several explanations. The first time I saw somebody was in the middle of the night when I was 15. That's like the first memory of that. And I woke up while I was sitting up. I didn't wake up and sit up. I woke up while I was sitting up, and I was stared at on the corner of my room, and there was this black, or this shadow or something, like in a black coat with a like black hat on his head, like English old man somehow. And then I've seen my grandmother 2 months after she died, and the day before my son went to a big surgery. And I was like, no, I can't, it can't be her. I don't believe it. And I was like, always like blinking my eyes, like, am I seeing this correct? and she was like hovering over my son's bed, so I like knew she would be with him in that surgery and everything would go well.
Wow.
And the most recent one is in this new home that I just moved in less than a year ago, and I saw like a child. I thought it was my son. I saw my son like walk past me and into my bedroom, and I was like, okay, stood up and walked after him, and there was nobody. So, but after that I could feel there was like weird energy around or in my room, and I could not sleep there for like 3 nights. I was like, there was some bad energy around that after I saw that little tiny human.
Nice.
And another example, I didn't see nobody, but I moved to this place and I was gonna heal that place and just be alone in my new home. And there was nothing, but I could feel like there were so many people in there. It felt so crowded, and I was like, okay, what is happening? And I could not stay there for another 10 minutes. And I was like, am I gonna move here really? No, there was like so many people there. I could feel.
So you didn't move at the end at that house?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You did.
And I miss
and
that place. I miss that place. That actually taught me a lot about like allowing the energies to be there, and I had to ask them to leave at some point because it got really very intense. Like, okay, we can stay outside my bedroom, for example, but my bedroom is my sacred place. You can be everybody in my kitchen or whatever, but my bedroom is, don't be there. And I've had to have a lot of conversations like that in the past. Another example is in the process of divorcing my husband, just right before a meeting. And what was it? Yeah, I was helping my boy like tying his shoes, and I could feel like he was holding me, like he was on my right side and he was holding me on the shoulders. Like I was like, oh, how cute. And I looked and there was like nobody. There was like somebody holding my shoulder, but there was nobody there. And I looked at my son like, okay, his hands are both there and I'm tying his shoes. What is happening? And yeah, it was, yeah.
And did you feel scared, or are you used to having those spirits around already?
No, I feel so comfortable feeling the spirits around me. It gives me comfort to know that I'm not alone. And then I know I'm doing the right thing and that I am supported. For sure. That's like my experience. I feel like my guides guiding my way and just telling me that everything will be okay and it's okay. And actually the same meeting, when I felt this hand on my shoulder, the divorce went through. There was like, the guide saying me that everything would be okay, and it turned out to be so.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And about those bad ones, the bad energies, you said you talked to them and told them you can be anywhere else, but not in my bedroom, for example. Yeah. Do you mean they listen to you and they do as you wish? If you tell them?
Yes, but they do that. But I have this one scenario in mind when I worked after a KAP session, then I was like very open. And I was going to bed to sleep, and there was like a working on a wall when I walked into my bedroom, and there was so much like dark energies. And then had to ask them to leave, but they did. And I always have like this salvia to cleanse the room as well, so a lot of that.
Once I heard that if you are afraid of the spirit, it's only because you are projecting that fear because of your beliefs. But you can always like talk to them and address to them, and then they, like you say, they just move or go or whatever.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned again the KAP, how do you feel usually after the sessions? Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel like maybe you get energies from the other people because maybe the room feels with those extra energies that are released?
Most of the time I feel like it depends how the energies is in the sessions. Mostly I feel like super light and super like open and just love to like talk to the people, and I feel a lot of like love. That's like the most common, deep love, and the feeling that I'm doing the right thing. Just to be able to like serve people, and it's so humbling, and I feel good. Yeah.
Another thing that you mentioned that you experienced, not related to KAP now, is that you felt like you were in two places at the same time. How can that be? What did you?
For example, I was having this KAP in Poland this weekend. I could not be there, unfortunately, but I was there through Zoom, and my friend was like KAPing everybody in this session, and I could feel like their energy, and I could feel like when somebody was like crying through Zoom, but it is like I'm sitting here, but I can see like the people around me, not like I'm looking at you, but I can see the surroundings. I can see how the people are lying, or if they're standing up, or their energies, just by closing my eyes, and I can move my hands like I'm working on them, though I'm not there. Wow. And I felt like after the weekend, or after the 3 sessions that we had the last weekend, like I was in Poland. I was walking in the area where I live, and I could feel like I was not in Iceland, but I was in Poland. It was so weird experiencing. I was like, okay, Sunneva, come back. I'm here now. I'm not in Poland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the telepathy as well. Is it always that happens? Can you always read people's minds, or it depends on when, in specific moments, or just you can click on and then you know, or is it like the energy?
It's like intuitive, intuitive thing that happens. For me, I give people space, but I can see like when people come to a private session to me, I can feel if they're super anxious, and I sometimes ask people, but like, are you still anxious? Are you okay? How do you feel? They're like, how did you know I was anxious, for example? Or it's just intuitive, really.
Right. And do you do also another, because I read in your bio, do you do also some other healing practices? In your bio stands sacred healing practices. Is this something that you belong to and you practice them?
That's it's a mix, combination of, for example, KAP and tantric training that my friend is learning, and Kampo, for example, and just holding the space for people through courses or one-on-one sessions, or just being there, really. And people can always like contact me if anything comes up after any healing that happens. And sacred healing is just, it's work in process, really. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about this shadow work that you are doing with somebody else? Is it just specific shadow work, or is it just something you did this weekend? Or is it like a program you go through and all of it is shadow work?
Like this shadow work is actually this ego death. That's what's going on. You have something in mind that I told in the story last week. I was like trying to remember what I said there, and I can't really remember it. What do you?
I think you just said you felt very good, and what you told me afterwards, it was that it was so like blissful, or gaman, how do you say, fun.
Yeah.
Like blissful, fun, and you felt like a lot of feelings going around. But is it just one session that you did, or is it a whole program that is about shadow work?
There's like no program in shadow work. It's just when the Kundalini awakens, or the spirit awakens within you, you go through all this ego death, you go through all these ideas all these past ideas that you had about yourself. You realize that you are not it, and that can be freaking hard to experience, because who am I if I'm not that? Who am I if I'm not anxious or in this shame or guilt, or who am I then? Why can't I experience this anxiety anymore? For example, I was always anxious, but if I'm not anxious, who am I then? If I'm not shameful of the chocolate that I ate today, like, what then? You're not feeding the energies, you're not feeding the shadows anymore. And that can sometimes be frustrated, because you want to like be angry at something. You want to be frustrated at something, but you really can't, because there is so much like ego death going on. But that can be a super hard process, and to work on like no attachment to nothing, for example. Like no attachment to, when there is no attachment, there is a lot of surrendering. You have to constantly be mindful, like in a relationship, for example, you don't have to be attached to that person. This person allows to be free himself or herself in everything that that person wants to do. You don't have to like ask constantly like, what is he doing? What is this person doing? What? Like, no, everybody is free to do whatever they want. And that was not on my mind when I was married, for example. I was like stuck. I had to be there. I had to be in this relationship. Like, if I'm not in this relationship, what then? And there's just so freeing to have no attachment to any outcome, whether it's in a relationship or your future, because you just have to take one step today, and that step can lead you into a whole another different scenario than you had in your mind, and that's okay. Because you have no attachment to any outcome, and if you surrender to that, multiple doors open for you, and that is so liberating, to go through the door on the left instead of the door on the right, because you feel like you're going that way but not that way, if that makes any sense. You have like this multiple realities happening.
It's amazing, and it has happened in coaching with me, like with some clients. It's like both the things that you said before about who am I, because they begin to feel that they have the power of their lives. They have the decision to do what they want, and they haven't been until then, maybe, that free. And then they feel, wow, but who am I now? What do I like? I don't even know where to begin, because they have been attached so much to those labels that themselves or the family or the society has put onto them. And it's such a freeing experience, but such a scary one at the beginning, because you say, wow, what should I go now? What first steps could I take now? But it's so amazing, because then you begin feeling what you want, and you begin taking those little steps, just doing things that you like,
you understand
because you feel like
because everybody on the outside of you, like especially your family, like, why are you doing that way? You're supposed to work at the hospital. I worked at the hospital, by the way. You're supposed to work at the hospital. Why don't you become a doctor? Why don't you do more? Why don't you like go to school again? But I quit my job and I'm like doing this full time now. And the family is the most critical people, and that's because they care. But that affected me. That affects the whole scenario. But you can become stronger when you listen to you, and with time they will understand, for sure. But there's so much outside of you that affects many people, and instead of just being true to your heart and listen to your heart.
Right. It's just like that, learning to listen to your heart and just follow it. And maybe you have an intention, but just surrender to it, like you let it go, and then you have those other options that can be opening when you take those steps, like you said. And it's such an amazing way of living, because there are so many opportunities if you just follow your heart and don't stick to those, I should do this, they told me I should do that, those shoulds, and I have to. No way, just feel it. If you feel it, go on. Right. And just one more question to finish this great talk. Thank you. I wanted to ask you, after talking about these energies, after talking about, I guess you believe in reincarnation, since you've talked about past lives, and you told me as well, you believe that we all come from one source, or we all are connected. How do you understand the circle of life and death, for example? How do you understand life?
The spirit never dies. You may leave this body, but you never really die. That's what I believe and feel for myself.
But do you believe that we go through like levels, and then we reach nirvana, for example, and then we just stay there and we don't come back to this world? Or is it always like coming back to Earth, to this kind of
like you're fully enlightened being? Like you're fully enlightened being, and when you're fully enlightened, then you don't come back? I have no saying about that.
I don't know if that...
maybe it's true. Maybe you're on this earth to be enlightened, who knows? But like the spiritual people, is that really what you want, being enlightened in the future, or do you want to be enlightened at the moment? Because you can always be here and now, and enlightened or not, you can always experience all you want to experience. It's always a choice.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Sunneva, for having me here and having shared with us so many personal experiences. I think this has been a really expansive interview, and I hope we help some people to expand their consciousness and to expand themselves as well, and to feel better and more connected to life. And if they need to use KAP, they know how to contact you now. If they are in Iceland, they know how to have a personal session with you or a group session.
Always welcome. I'm here anytime. Just thank you so much for this opportunity, for this interview, and hopefully somebody will benefit from it and listen to it.
We hope so. Otherwise, I had a very nice time, so I appreciate it. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We'll keep in touch.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.